Good evening, Ms. Pardabe. The topic I will explain today is about break-even point. I will begin by explaining what the break-even point is. The break-even point is the minimum level of sales to avoid losses and where the profit is zero. In other words, is the quality of total costs with total revenues. Calculating the break-even point is important for a company because it allows to evaluate its profitability, so you can clearly see how much you need to sell to start generating profit. In addition, finding this value even before starting a project is fundamental to discover how financially interesting the business project is, since when deciding to undertake, it will be possible to calculate how long it will take to make a profit. This is a fundamental stage in a business plan, since knowing the break-even point makes it possible to create a contingency policy in the most difficult periods and avoid problems during the process of executing the business idea. To calculate the break-even point, it is necessary to know certain concepts that are considered in the calculation of this viability indicator. For this reason, some basic aspects will be defined. Fixed costs are all the costs that are independent of the operation or running of the business. In other words, the costs that must be incurred regardless of whether the business is running. For example, rents, fixed expenses for water, energy, and telephony, secretarial work, and salary. Whether or not there is a sale, there is always an established cost. On the other hand, variable costs are all the costs involved in running the business, for instance, merchandise and raw materials. Unlike fixed costs, variable costs change in direct proportion to production and sales volumes. For the business to have revenue, the selling price must be higher than the purchase price. This differentiates now and the contribution margin. The formula to calculate the break-even point is as follows. The break-even point is equivalent to the division between the fixed cost and the selling price minus the variable cost. The result of the formula will be in physical units, and the break-even point is to be found in monetary units. The result will simply be multiplied by the sale price. Once the break-even point is found, the result is checked through the use of the income statements. Finally, once the break-even point has been found and verified through the income statements, an analysis is made of how much must be sold to achieve a certain profit. In the example, you're asked to find the break-even point in units and in dollars. To solve the first question, the formula mentioned above must be used. The fixed cost is $10,000. The variable unit cost is $7.50, and the unit selling price is $12.50. The break-even point is calculated with the following formula. The break-even point is equivalent to the division between the fixed cost and the selling price minus the variable cost. Replacing the values, it is identified that the break-even point is 2,000 units, and in the case of the break-even point in dollars, the break-even point in units is multiplied by the unit selling price. After the calculation, $25,000 are obtained for the sales of 2,000 units. This means that from 2001 units sold, profits start to be obtained. In conclusion, the determination of the break-even point makes it possible to check the viability of the business. If the company's economic activity is destabilized, the break-even point will also change, moving out the usual range and causing liquidity problems that will force the company to postpone or refinance loans or payments for raw materials. That's all, Ms. Perdave. Until tomorrow.